All right, welcome back, everybody, to Making Picks. My name is Nathan. I'm here with Mark. What's going on, Mark? How are you doing?
Doing all right. We got a lot of information that we need to kind of get through today. So it's good to kind of be back. We apologize for the technical difficulties that took place last week. It's a Friday.
Yeah, it is.
Hopefully, no problems in terms of getting this thing uploaded and out to, I guess, all of the distribution channels that we kind of leverage, kind of work with. But yeah, I'm doing kind of good. Weather kind of stinks a little bit here on the East Coast, but other than that, things are going well. Busy week this week. We got a packed kind of set of things that we need to do over the course of the weekend. A lot of things going on. I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. We got ice and snow coming down, but ready for this show. Let's get into it. What do you got for me this week,
All
Mark?
right, so there's a couple different things here. Now we actually tried talking about like this last week prior to experiencing some technical difficulties, but I feel obligated just to kind of keep the community updated on what's actually going on with the Statement Games app and why we're at where we're at.
Yeah.
So I've gone through a couple different situations this week here, and where if you still have access to the Apple app, that's why I'm always encouraging people, if you have the app downloaded, don't go ahead and delete it because you still have the ability to exchange your coins for cash gift cards through the Apple app. There's no games that you can actually play on the Apple app, but you can at least take advantage of rewards here. So we cashed out close to, I'd say a good $300 kind of last week just in gift cards and people kind of experiencing and going through that stuff, right now.
Mhm.
So where we're at right now is that it's pretty simple. I mean, you have two major companies, one in Apple, one in Google. They're both classifying me as a gambling company, so they're not allowing the app to be provisioned within the stores right now. Now, the way for us to kind of work around that is there's some additional development work that needs to be done. There's some things that Apple wants to be cleaned up. Google specifically wants us to remove all references to statement games coins. I'm not necessarily sure if I want to go ahead and do that at this time. But it also seems like, there's a project known as geofencing, and where if that was actually in place and we can restrict people in non-regulated states from cashing out their coins, that would potentially solve the problems as well. The app is built, it works fine, kind of on the back end here. I just want the community to understand here that I am kind of fighting a battle in which it's borderline impossible for me to kind of win here. I can't necessarily compete and go up against, you know, Google and Apple. I keep updating my case files. I keep kind of making my argument, but I'm not necessarily a company that is going to get the attention of their CEO at this stage of the game. So our plan right now is to clean up a lot of different things from a web perspective, get the core functionality in place. We want to make sure that, and there's no secret behind this here, we need real time gaming automation and real time scoring. That is a priority of us. It has been a project that we've been working on almost like, since Thanksgiving. Yes, I am a little upset that this is taking so long to kind of get done. I was expecting to have this done by the first of January. Here we are, we're moving into March, but we're making strides. I will actually be traveling next week to Washington, D.C. to meet up with my development team firsthand and in person. We're close. It's just taking like a little bit of time, but we need to have some of these core gaming features done and established first before I can address some of these other things. So hopefully that gives people just a little bit of a better understanding of where we're at with the Statement Games app, why it's actually taking so long, and what the priority of the company is kind of right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's something I tell prospective clients is it sucks the age we're in. So many things that are, we want to get into, someone else has control. And this is just another case where, you have an app, you're developing, your product, but you don't have the control of whether or not you're on these platforms because there's someone out there, whether or not they're really looking into who you are, what you are. They just see X piece of data and they say, okay, nope, you can't be part of this, this group. So it sucks. And hopefully, in a very soon timeline, you'll be able to get it worked out and figured out.
And look, this is what Google and Apple do really, really well. They do. This is really kind of like a good thing that I think makes it really attractive to submit apps into the App Store, and where once you actually build something, and there's always going to be revisions, there's always going to be updated versions that you tack on to the initial build of the app.
Yeah.
So when those revisions need to kind of go and be updated, you submit your updates to these stores, and then they push out the notifications to everybody who's gone ahead and downloaded it. So I think they do that kind of really well. So the challenge that I always kind of thought about it was, well, why do I need these guys? Like, why can't I just build it out and basically, provide some type of link that users can actually go to, download the app directly from StatementGames.com. The app then resides on their phone, and then everybody's kind of happy. The challenge becomes exactly what I just alluded to before. The challenge becomes when an update takes place, I need to send you some type of notification to uninstall that app, click this link here again, reinstall it because there's updated features and services that are going to be to your advantage. Doing that process over and over again, as opposed to having it happen automatically, is, in my opinion, not necessarily an ideal end user experience. But when I look at the alternative, I think it could potentially be a better alternative than I'm looking at right now, which is not having anything at all. So that's the dilemma that I'm thinking about. I mean, it's not that difficult for me to resolve and fix the issue right now. The challenge becomes, it's not a sustainable option for the long-term development efforts of the app.
Yeah, it's prioritizing what's really going to move you forward.
It sucks for end users right now.
Yeah.
But I have to kind of take into the account what's going to be better off for the organization and the resources that we have access to right now to go ahead and do that. Do I pull people off a real-time kind of scoring to fix the app, only to have an issue with the app the next time that we have an updated release? Or let's get the core kind of gaming features in place right now, where we're running all of the various different games across the 4 major sports leagues, having everything updated in real time. And look, we have a great kind of data partner who's giving us the bandwidth and the flexibility to do all this stuff at a very, very reasonable rate and kind of opportunity. And I think that's what I need to deliver on to the core stakeholders of the organization today, as opposed to doing a short-term fix with the app.
Yep. Yeah, it makes sense to me. I think it's just a matter of patience, and that's the game, especially in small business development, that kind of stuff. It's all patience.
And I get it. I understand it. I've been asking the community for a lot of patience, and I understand that my ask for patience is wearing a little thin.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my best is the only thing that I can come up to say. But hey, you know what? I'm not the only one who has problems. Other people can have problems as well. I'm actually sharing my screen right now. I thought this was a interesting topic from the gaming perspective here, and as you can kind of see here, it's hey, Wall Street is not necessarily too pleased with the latest earnings report that Draftkings came up with. So they're expecting anywhere from 825 to 925 million in losses.
Wow.
That is not necessarily what the market was expecting out of them here. And we're looking at analysis coming to the table and saying that about, 2 million monthly unique players engaged with DraftKings products and services during the fourth quarter. And analysis are expecting 2.1. Just think about like how big, when I say, how many people engage with DraftKings, that average, let me just make sure I'm reading this right here. The company said Friday that an average of 2 million monthly unique paying customers engaged with DraftKings during the fourth quarter. For a company the size of DraftKings, I hear 2 million unique. I think that's low. But in reality, it's really, really big. So, in my opinion, it just kind of goes to show how hard it is to have 2 million uniquely people that are engaged with your product on a monthly or quarterly kind of basis. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's just 2 million people kind of in their database or on their platform, but getting those people to engage and be part of your community month over month is a challenge that not only you go through and I go through with IDP guys and Statement Games, but larger organizations go through it as well.
Yeah.
And when you tie into the fact that they're spending, how much freaking money do you think they're spending kind of on advertising to show a loss and to show that uniques have actually gone down on a quarterly basis here? I mean, you're going to have a conversation with a couple different people, the way I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, that's so I look at it from the end user perspective. When we just got sports gambling, Draftkings is one of them. And it's we look right here in Connecticut, there's 3 different options, and FanDuel, they've created a product that being user friendly and easy to navigate puts them, way up here. And then when I go to DraftKings, even when I'm trying to take advantage of like their promos, their new account promos, because I kind of didn't set up an account because I never got past their UI. It's difficult to look at. And I think that's one of their biggest problems.
And we touched upon this last week a little bit as well before we had our technical difficulties. I was actually going to explain. I mean, I'm not going to go through it again, but I had like very similar bad end user experiences with the Win product.
Yep.
So whether it's Win or DraftKings or FanDuel, you have a lot of these organizations that are spending kind of big marketing dollars that have challenges in terms of uniques, kind of on a quarterly and monthly kind of basis. They have development and product challenges from a UI perspective, just like kind of what I'm kind of going through. So not that I'm making excuses as to why I am not necessarily performing at the top of the Statement Games, my Statement Games game, so to speak here. But like I said, big guys have challenges too, and we're no different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I love having the options, but in the end, I just end up on FanDuel, and that's where most of my money is going. Especially
I like
when
the FanDuel UI. I'm having
yeah,
fun with it. I still have my Win account. Again, I'm a little disappointed, so I'm not necessarily rushing to go back to them. And the thing that I kind of had here, it was, look, I got an email notification as kind of like an old marketer. I clicked on the link. I got right into the Win kind of site here.
yep.
Of course, I don't know how I got on the New York Jets kind of like email distribution list, so I'm kind of like blaming the Jets as well. But that's where the offer kind of
Okay,
came from. But it was something along the lines of make a $10 bet on some type of play that's don't quote me on this, but it was something along the lines of like 150 or less, minus 150. So obviously, I had to make a bet that had some odds kind of like with it, things like that.
right.
So I made kind of my bet, and I actually made 2 of them. Positive, full disclosure, I deposited $20, made two
Yeah.
$10 bets here. I'm expecting, some type of in-game betting credits in the amount of, it was either 200, $250, and I just never got.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm sure I did something wrong, or you had explained to me before. I may have not read something like in the fine print, but the whole purpose of me going to that service was for the incentive.
Yep.
So now that I'm, regardless of whether I'm right or wrong here, I don't have that incentive, and I kind of like the FanDuel UI a little bit better, kind of anyway. So I'm, as of right now, when I'm
FanDuel
comparing
makes it
those two head
easy.
to head, it's that. And I
Yeah.
actually haven't gotten anything from DraftKings that really has motivated me or incentivized me to jump into that platform as of yet. I still like it from a DFS perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my DFS games are being played on DraftKings, but from a gaming perspective, and I, full disclosure, I do like the horses as well. From a horse racing
Okay.
perspective, I like FanDuel a little bit better. And I think you're kind of getting into it. I'm just not into any of the casino games as of yet, unless there's a physical dealer that I can kind of look at.
Yeah, that's my
I'm
downfall.
off of that. Yeah,
That's my downfall. So I love blackjack, and I love before we had sports gambling, I would have like little blackjack apps on my phone that were free to play and whatever. But what I love is when you can play multiple hands, and FanDuel Sportsbook Casino or whatever has one of those where you're playing with your actual money. And I've had a wide variance of like taking that money all the way up, and then as it happens whenever you play casino games, if you play too long, you end up with a zero balance. So it does it for me. So, but
so anyway, that's kind of like what we got going on from a Statement Games app perspective. Touched on a couple of different things that are taking place within the gaming, overall kind of industry. Heading into this weekend, we're recording on a Friday here. Big, busy kind of a weekend here. So I'm going to be meeting up with you tomorrow.
Yep.
I have some travel plans. There are sports card trading shows that are taking place in Trumbull, Connecticut. I forget the name of the town that Mohegan Sun is into. Is that what town is that?
Uncasville.
Uncasville, Connecticut. Mohegan Sun on that Trumbull and Uncasville on Saturday. Two kind of card shows. I'm actually looking forward to the Mohegan Sun one, so we'll see how that actually goes here. And then there's another card show in Stanford, Connecticut on Sunday.
Okay.
So I got just one little thing that we're showing up here, just jumping back into the Statement Game scenario. So, of course, we're licensing the technology. One of the primary reasons for us to go to these card shows is to see if the Statement Game solution is a viable solution for card dealers and in an effort to help them move or sell more product. Our story is pretty simple. Let's go ahead and white label the Statement Games product so that it's operating underneath your umbrella. We'll utilize the game to engage sports fans, buyers of kind of card product behind the scenes. Will capture all this fun data for you. And then we will actually provide you with some very basic marketing CRM systems, all within one centralized environment that helps you target, cross-sell, and upsell your product to people that you've engaged with or interacted with in the form of kind of game. So that's kind of where I'm at. You can kind of pull this off the screen for a second.
Yep.
And I just want to kind of walk you through one of my most recent sports carding and trading kind of experience. Got a little pissed off, a little kind of heated, kind of run it by you.
Let's do it.
Let me just pull up one more thing, right? So I got something up here right now. So actually pull that off real quick, and I'll show this here. I just want to kind of people. Sure. I got this. I picked this up for a few bucks at an estate sale. It's a Michael kind of Jordan card. It's not a rookie card, but it's a decent kind of card. So if you go back to my screen for a second, you can actually see that comps of this card, which is a 1995 Skybox Jordan 10 insert card. I believe, as you can see on the screen here, the number is AR7.
Yep.
Nothing crazy, nothing kind of earth shattering. But comps kind of in a range anywhere between, this is 1950, but that's free shipping here. This one's kind of in the 26 kind of range here, 17 kind of 50. But there's other comps, in the month of February, $40. This one's kind of hovering around like the 30 kind of range.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of have this. I had it listed. You can pull it off now. I had it listed for I thought a very reasonable, aggressive price of $21. I put it up on on eBay. Again, I'm not looking to break the bank here, but as we've talked about before in the past here, you buy something for a couple of dollars and you have an opportunity to flip it for 23, 24. You do that enough times over the course of the week here. Next thing I know, I got my AT&T Statement Games bill paid for. And as a small business owner, little flips and little things like this help, right? I think that's a fair kind of statement. So it's not the fact that somebody had reached out to me looking for a break on the card. I literally went through like a process like this here. I mean, the card is it's a little shiny, so it may be hard to you'll see on the screen here. But, and again, I'm not PSA, I'm not SGC, but this is not an SGC or a PSA 4 or 5. I'd say that this has a realistic shot of grading at anywhere between, I'd say, an 8 and a 9, depending on what kind of company you do. And I'm not even making the recommendation that you would want to get something like this, graded by SGC at a cost of $30 or at PSA for a cost of, 150 to $200, whatever the kind of charge right here. But it's a decent kind of card. So I'm looking at it. Surface is great. Corners look great. There might be a little tiny small paint chip. I wouldn't even want to call it that. I wouldn't even say it's hard to say. There might be something with the bottom right hand corner, a little blemish on the bottom right hand corner.
Yeah.
But edges are fine. Card is kind of centered. The back of the card here perfectly kind of centered. There's nothing wrong with it. This guy kind of said, hey, you know what, can you provide me with some more information or details on the card? Which is no problem. I gave a little description of the card and my opinion on what I thought the card was kind of at. He then goes ahead and asks for some more additional pictures. I take another, 2 or 3 pictures of the card, send it to him. He's then kind of asks me to take a picture of every single corner of this card. I mean, you would think that this card is like, a $400, $500 kind of card.
Right.
So whatever. He's a customer, and I had a couple of minutes here. I was on my lunch break. Why not go ahead and do it? I literally took make a long story a little bit shorter. I took about 20 different pictures of this card, and I sent it to him.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And say, hey, you know what? The card kind of comes back kind of great. Like, appreciate all the help. He puts in an offer for I have it listed at 21. He puts in an offer for $10. Totally low balls the shit out of it. Which, whatever. I do this kind of all the time, so I can't get mad at people. But it's the fact that conversation. Yep. Pictures, more pictures. I mean, this was a freaking kind of a whole ordeal that I went through kind of with this guy, only for him to kind of come back with a low ball offer. So I got a little pissed off here. Just wanted to get your take on: do I have a gripe here, or am I? Hey, look, this is the name of the game here. Suck it up and stop being a baby.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got something there. You put it's time invested. You're losing out by you get the card at X and you're trying to sell it at Y, and the more time you put into it, the more the less profit really you're getting, because your time is included in that. So if you'd be able to do a quick flip, awesome. This guy seems like he was trying to essentially buy it low, have you do the work so that he could just put those pictures into the next eBay offer, so that he could flip it for $25, So I think you've got a gripe, but at the same point, to make the sale, sometimes you do need to put in a little work. So it sucks he came in low, but had he given you a fair offer, I think you'd be fine. You'd be happy.
We'll see what happens. Well, I mean, obviously, I always look for, hey, listen, if you have an opportunity to take a profit on something,
yeah,
you got to consider it and take it. So knowing that even at, let's just call it $10.50, I would have made a couple of bucks kind of on the card. But you can kind of say that comps are literally ranging from anywhere between 40 and $19. Given the situation I described here, how likely would you have been to accept that low ball offer?
I would have.
Or would you have not? All right, so you're kind of in the same.
The other thing is, when you can't value something off of what someone bought, you value it off of how
correct
the value is. Like, you can't go and say, when you're buying a house, you don't go and say, well, you bought it for $75,000 in 1980. I'm going to give you $80,000. There's $5,000 profit, when the house is actually worth, $500,000 on the market because of, the area and the location and everything. So that's just not how it works when you do a trade, especially like if you take it to fantasy football. Yeah, just because in a rookie draft I got Patrick Mahomes at the end, the 7th round of a rookie draft, doesn't mean that I'm now going to trade him for free, essentially, in my fantasy league. So it's a mindset thing,
Well, we'll see what happens. And I think you and I talked a little bit about this as we were preparing for the show here. It's not like I've had this thing listed for the past 4 months. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a fairly newer look. I mean, if it's been up for 10 days, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So whatever, we'll see what happens. But other than that, speaking of FanDuel, I got my kind of screen back up again here. I wanted to, because look, we're hot. I'm excited. I got my kind of cap on here. I do want to make a couple of different picks here, but I think it's start to pay attention. I know I'm a homer, but I 100% feel that the Rangers have the absolute best goalie kind of like in the world here. I mean, this Igor Shesterkin kid is amazing. I just thought it was kind of pretty interesting because not even 2 weeks ago, this line for the New York Rangers to win the Stanley Cup was plus 2,400. It's now down to plus 2,000.
Ooh. Okay.
So that's a 400 kind of point swing, right there, and it's something that I think you got to pay attention to. So if I take a look at the standings right now, obviously the Rangers have 2 games ahead against Pittsburgh. We're going to be talking about the 3:30 game taking place on Saturday between the New York Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins in just a second here. But as of right now, Rangers have 2 games in hand. Rangers sit at 71 points in second place in the Metropolitan Division, while the Pittsburgh, coming off a pretty much like a beatdown to the Jersey Devils the other day, are sitting at 70 points, but have played 53 games in comparison to the Rangers 51 here. But if I take a look at this odd right here, you have teams like the Penguins at plus 16. So automatically, I'm thinking, one, the Rangers have played extremely well against the Florida Panthers like this so far this year. They could have won all 3 games. They've beaten them twice kind of like already. They've definitely had a little bit of a challenge against the Western Conference teams. They've gotten smoked against the Avalanche and the Golden Knights, but you don't need to potentially worry about them until you actually make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. They've only played 1 game against Carolina. Have taken 2 out of the 3 games that they've played against the Maple Leafs kind of like so far this year. They've gotten killed by. This is actually a very interesting play. 3 weeks ago, I want to say that I got the Calgary Flames at close to 24-26 plus 24-26. So that's kind of jumped up kind of dramatically. So I thought, I personally have 2 plays in my FanDuel account right now, which is the Rangers to win the Cup, the Flames to win the Cup, the Rangers to win the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Flames to win the Eastern Conference Finals. And just take a look at the value that you get in between, the difference in value between you're getting at the Avalanche and the Knights in comparison to the Flames.
Yep.
And we're considering that the Rangers have played all of the top Eastern Conference teams well, that they're only at plus, still they're only at plus 2,000.
Yeah.
And they have the best goalie in the world. I think that's an interesting play. And if I just take a quick look at it right now, you got Igor Shesterkin at plus 750 to win the Vezina, which is only behind Vasilevsky by 500. Now, obviously, he's a world-class goalie and has just won 2 cups with the Lightning. I can actually make the argument that you should also be taking a look at Shesterkin from a hard trophy perspective as well. So that's some of the sports investments that I'm actually kind of looking at. And I'm looking at, I'm getting my inspiration kind of from you right now. And you can actually pull this off the screen for a second while we just kind of talk through this.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to get these teams to win the conference finals or the Stanley Cup. But if they continue to play well, just like what you've experienced, you get into the first round, maybe you advance into the second round, you'll start getting offers
to buy you out
to cash out your ticket, just like you cashed out. Well, you never took it. You never took it. You never took it, but the offer was actually there, and where you could, take.
I could have cashed out for like $275, which would have been $100 less than just going to the end. And it made me think. That would have been a I put in $50, so $225 dollar profit without actually having to have the Rams win. Luckily, they did win.
Yep.
Also, it had to be early enough because they stopped giving me offers.
Yeah, how
To the
far
people.
into the run did they stop giving you offers? Was it like
So
immediately after they won that first round? Again, who they smacked around the Cardinals, right? In that first round, or wasn't it not until
the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, the conference championship, after that game, they stopped giving me offers.
after the all right, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it was like leading up to that. So it was like Monday, Tuesday of that week, I had offers. I could have cashed out at 275, but once it hit like Wednesday, Thursday, everything was locked in, and I had no opportunity to pull out until Super Bowl. Well, I mean, I had to go through it, you know. So, but it was an interesting thing. I've never seen that before.
Now,
So
how big were the offers kind of getting? All right, so the first round was it was the Cardinals, right?
I believe, yeah, it was
Losing my mind. I'm
Cardinals,
getting older. I can't even remember what took place yesterday. You know, only 3 weeks. The first round was the Cardinals. The second round was
Tampa
the
Bay,
Tampa Bay. The third round was the 49ers.
49ers. Yep.
So how big of a difference did it actually go from, like, was it dramatically in where the offer that you got either during the Cardinals game or prior to the Cardinals game in comparison to the Brady game? Or
Yeah.
were they currently, very, very similar as you went week to week leading up to the Super Bowl or leading up to that championship game?
Yeah. So essentially, up until playoffs, I could have cashed out for even money. They would have given me, my $50 back. After they beat the Cardinals, they upped it to 125. And then after he beat Brady, I had 2 days to choose if I wanted to take 275.
Got you. That's not that. That's so even. Just get your money back, or were they paying you out something prior to round one?
It would have only been $50, so it would have
All
been
right, so you could have gotten your
it would
money
have been
kind
a
of
push.
back if you kind of didn't want to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Round two.
Then I was getting profit. Then I was getting essentially doubling my money. So $50, they gave me
You were
$50.
basically getting almost even money after round two, and then I would say you were probably getting close to what, plus 125 after or for the third round.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my whole argument. So even though that I kind of have these kind of play from a hockey perspective,
You
I'll
can play those
have
odds, yeah.
I'll have an opportunity to profit from it should they not, and that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on getting some type of kind of offers. Should I advance into the
And I don't know
second or third round?
what triggers that, because and obviously I don't really know these teams as well, but like the Rams had, not that they were favored, but like there was a good outlook that they could run the table and that they could, win the Super Bowl. If I were to have done it with like a different team, like, Green Bay, I don't know if I would have necessarily gotten that offer. I don't know what triggers that, because there might be some decision makers out there going, "Hey, we got a lot of people betting the Rams. Let's see if we can get some of those tickets back because we might, take a loss on this." Whereas if it was some other team like the 49ers, which really had no business being in the playoffs, they might have not done that. They might have been like, "Well, they're not going to, odds are really in our favor. They're probably not going to do it." Because a lot of people were saying that, the 49ers had no business there. So I don't know. It's interesting, and I'd love to see a bigger sample size, what other people's experiences were with this.
Yeah, if you're getting kind of payouts, especially on futures bets here, I'm just generally curious. So if you wouldn't mind dropping a couple of different comments in the comment section below, we'll go from there.
Yeah, definitely.
So kind of on that topic here, I got kind of on my screen up here now. I'll get you to share your screen kind of in a second here, but I just kind of want to show kind of people that from a gaming perspective, I am actually going to be making some picks for the Saturday 3:30, nationally televised. New York Rangers versus Pittsburgh Penguins game. This card I am submitting on sportshost.statementgames.com, so you can see that this is the Sports Host gaming community. Great clinical partner with us. Bottom left-hand corner, you can actually see that all of this technology is being powered by your favorite gaming company, Statement Games or Statement Games Inc. And I'll let you kind of share your screen now for a second here. But the first pick that I'm actually locking in is going to be the Pittsburgh Penguins under 3.5 goals. Shesterkin is a beast. He is playing phenomenally well. I don't see him. I mean, I know you got Malkin, you got Crosby, you got a lot of different stars and firepower on the Penguins, but this guy's playing too well. And as long as he's hot, and it's just one of those things where you can't be scared about it. You have to continue riding the hot hand. So I am locking in the Pittsburgh Penguins under 3.5 goals. My second pick that I really like. He's been a little quiet, so still playing well. But I mean, this is just an extremely well defensive pairing. You're getting Jacob Trouba and Adam Fox. I'm getting them combined defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm locking in Trouba and Adam Fox over 1.5 combined points.
Nice.
And last night, Crowder broke his score, his big whopping 3-game goal scoring drought. I mean, take a look at this freaking lineup here. I mean, you're getting Crowder, Zibanejad put in his 20th goal the other night as well. Panarin is just a world class talent. So I will go ahead and take the combination of Crowder, Zibanejad, and Panarin over 1.5 goals. I'm locking them in as my 10, 9, and 8 picks. I understand that this is very extremely homerish. I am writing it. I do not care. It's my show. I am a Ranger fan. It is great to see the Rangers back on nationally televised afternoon hockey. Another interesting game. I'll be taking a look at it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be playing the outdoor game that's taking place between the Lightning and the Nashville Predators. I might have some insight on that over the weekend. But for this show, NBC, Saturday, Rangers, Penguins, those are my top 3 picks.
Nice. And that last
forward category.
Forward category.
Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, over 1.5 goals.
Gotcha.
10, 9, and 8. We'll make the remainder of our picks offline unless you want to get bold.
You know what?
Throw one of your picks into the lineup.
I want to share this. So I have not watched hockey very much since the 90s. I'm on record with this. But I did go to a minor league hockey game over the weekend and got to see the Hartford Wolfpack, which I believe it's the Rangers.
The Rangers farm team, yeah.
Farm team against the
Bruins team.
The Bruins. Yeah, Providence Bruins team. That was a good experience. It was fun. The Wolfpack lost, but it was a good time. And
it seems like every single time you go to these Ranger games here, they always lose. I understand it's minor league here, but it's something that I'm starting to get like a little. What happened?
There were more goals, but less fights. So
now the first game that you went to a couple of weeks ago, they lost in overtime, right?
Yep.
But there were a lot of fights.
I think like 2 fights last time. This time there was just a really solid check that dropped some guy.
Well, there was one last night. You know what? Now we're kind of going to. I mean, listen. Rangers got smoked by Pittsburgh last year. This is the first time that they're actually playing to start this season.
Yeah.
So let's go over into that intangibles category.
Okay.
Just because I'm feeling a little motivated. I want you to drag it down into like the 2 or 3 slot here. Let's go over 0.5 fights.
Ooh, nice.
You got to root for a fight.
Yeah, that's what's fun about hockey is the fighting.
That's what's fun about hockey, not the athleticism or the skill. It's the fights.
It's the fight. I mean, other than the MMA, which is all fighting, this is the only sport where like you can just duke it out with someone randomly. So I enjoy that. So no, I will not be making any picks because I don't want to ruin your card, but we will do the rest off air
We
and
will
give
do that. Let me
people.
just come to the table with a little bit of an offer here since I have them right here. I got these two. So this one is a 1975 Topps number 243, John Rattal. Obviously, number is hanging in the Garden Rafters. Retired player of the Rangers. PSA. I mean, I want to say that the value on this is like $25 or something like
Okay.
that here. Same thing here. I mean, this is just kind of like a sentimental to me because he wound up passing away this past kind of summer. But it's a PSA kind of 1977 OPG. I think it's got a little bit more value to it, but again, not by kind of much here. Anyway, between 30 and $35 here. Anybody who goes 10 for 10 with their picks and follows these simple rules, comment in the comment section below. Have your comment formatted in this specific sequence of steps. Your username, your number 10 pick on StatementGames.com, and let me know who your favorite Ranger or Penguin is. And if you go 10 for 10 with your picks, I'll give you both.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. So for everyone, listening, make sure that you're playing in the Rangers versus Penguins. We are in contest 1 of the tournament. That is, it'll be closing at 3 p.m. On Saturday. And if you see SG Live, just know, well, right now you're playing against Mark because I don't watch hockey, and but I love it. I love listening to it, and maybe one day I'll get into it. I don't know. I'm just so into football.
You've been to 2 games in the past 3 weeks.
True.
Minor league hockey. I'd say you're kind of getting into it.
True. Yeah. No, definitely. And then so obviously, make sure you're following at Statement Games on all social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Rumble account, Statement Games Inc., as well as make sure you're playing StatementGames.com and getting into these awesome contests. Mark, we made it through a whole episode. The waterfall in my bathroom did not happen again, so we're good, I think. And we will pick this back up. I think we're taking a little bit of a break, but we should be back with some regular content. If not, you'll be doing some standalone stuff.
Just because, yeah, we're going to be traveling. So, I mean, if anybody happens to see these two friendly faces walking around the card show at Mohegan Sun, I will be also in Philadelphia. I'm up in the air about kind of Friday, but definitely kind of Saturday. So the Philly show, which is another kind of big Northeastern kind of show. We'll be walking around, handing out some business cards and things like that. Just looking to network with like dealers. Also, keeping our eye out on great possible deals that we can use for prizes and things like that. But we kind of feel that our game is one in which it's engaging.
Yep.
It's very simple and easy for us to white label it. There's a ton of great card and gaming insights that we can possibly give you on the back end, and we can help you develop some effective marketing systems around that data, all in an effort to get more people to your shows or into your stores or frequenting your booths at these upcoming trade shows that you plan on frequenting or attending.
Awesome. Well, Mark, I'll be seeing you tomorrow. We'll be walking around, so that'll be fun. And until then, everyone have a good week.
Yeah, guys.